journey to face the unknown and ponder the questions.
Greetings, sir. This may concern Christian Aguilar here, back with another series review. And in today's series review, I'm going to be reviewing both episodes 6 and 7 of Marvel's What If. Now, I believe I am behind a week when it comes to What If. However, I did discuss this episode a little bit briefly over on the rendered image. That specific episode will be available at the end of this video, so go and watch that at the end of this video. But of course, to continue with reviewing each episode in this season, I want to review it separately, per se. So, without further ado, let me jump right into the episode. So in this episode, it is what if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark, and the whole events of Iron Man and the future of the MCU never happened. And it also takes a look at what if Tony Stark never became Iron Man. When going through this episode, I thought it was interesting how they gave Eric Killmonger that spotlight to shine in this episode. This was really his episode, honestly. And I really enjoyed seeing not only a what if for Tony Stark, but mainly a what if for the Black Panther crew. I really like how this episode shows how Black Panther is thrown into this conflict with Killmonger rising to power very early on, compared to the primary MCU timeline. And I love how this episode built up to the whole battle in Wakanda. I thought it was really nice to see a whole battle sequence play out in animation. It's not like they took a lazy route out of it. Typically when it comes to like doing a whole battle scene, it takes a lot to animate, and it looked like they put a lot of time and effort into it, and I really admire seeing an episode build up to a battle sequence. It's pretty cool to see in the pacing of just one episode. However, what I don't like about this episode is just the redundancy of, and then this goes for the whole season, the redundancy of killing off the main Avengers. Like, I get it, like, you never are ever gonna do that in the main movies, right? They were never going to do that until they wanted to, like, properly. So that's why they're having so much fun killing them off in this series so far. I mean, it seems like every big what if is just like, what if the Avengers died at different points, or what if certain Avengers died at another point. Tony Stark is always dying. Like, I think in every universe so far, he has died some way. Or I don't think there's a universe where Tony Stark lives like a peaceful life, or like lives any life where he survives, and and it's pretty it's to the point where it's pretty hilarious. You know, the first time it happened, everyone was like, oh, it's so emotional, and this and this and that, but I always felt like, you know, these are comic book characters, and if they really wanted to, Robert Downey Jr. could have come back for at least one movie, you know, Secret Wars, I'm thinking. But to kill him over and over and over again, like, you can only kill a character off so many times, and I understand that it's a different timeline, but there's no impact anymore. You know, we've seen the Avengers die how many times now? It's just like it's just ran into the ground. And if you look at the What If comics, the What If comics don't really do it that much. They don't really kill off all these heroes that often. They just really explore the opportunities of the what if. Like, what if Loki was worthy? You know, or like, what if someone else was worthy, or what if someone else got bit by their radioactive spider, you know? What if Steve Rogers had Stark tech to begin with? Like, what if he was Stark's son, you know? It's Steve Stark or something like that, you know? They always play with those type of what ifs. The series so far just seems to be playing with, okay, what if something happens here, but it doesn't really have a whole effect until it has to kill an Avenger. I don't know, it's just like, I wish they had more fun with it, but they kind of didn't. I mean, I kind of like how it led up to the battle sequence, but just the fact that killing off all the Avengers is just, I don't know, it's just getting tiring at this point. I thought this was an alright episode. I thought nothing too crazy happened. Again, another thing I don't like is, the episodes ending at random ass points. Like, they get to a really interesting point and then they just cut themselves short, and I'm like, I feel like this episode would have benefited from seeing a redemption arc from Shuri and Pepper. Seeing them come together at the end was really cool. I think it kind of teased like maybe like an Ironheart suit type build scenario, where if you know who Ironheart is, she's not Shuri from the comics, but she is an African-American woman that takes up the mantle of Iron Man and renames herself Ironheart, and she uses Stark tech. So I'm wondering if that will lead into like an homage moment where they build a suit like that. But I guess we're going to have to wait a year, and I wonder how many of these stories are going to be picked up in season 2. Because that's the thing about what if stories. There should be one-offs. You shouldn't be like really leaving them hanging for any future installment, because what ifs are just what ifs. They're just one-off stories, short stories. They're done. They're like nicely tied with a bow at the end. and then you move on to the next one, you know? So you're leaving a lot of these episodes hanging, and I hope you don't dedicate too much time to these same stories, because there's so many other things you can do, and so many other characters, like all these new characters being introduced. Like, I would like to see a Shang-Chi What If episode, or even an Eternals What If episode, or maybe following more of the events that happened in the Spider-Man movies. What if Mysterio was actually good, you know, and he actually became an Avenger, you know? That would be something cool to see. Like, what if Mysterio was an Avenger or something like that, you know? Or what if Zendaya's MJ got bit by the radioactive spider and Peter didn't? You know, it's kind of something like a Spider-Gwen type thing, but it's like a Spider-MJ, you know? That's the type of what-ifs I would like to see them play with. Not Tony Stark doesn't become Iron Man and then he gets killed by someone else later down the line. Or Hank Pym goes crazy and then he kills all the Avengers. Or there's a zombie invasion and then all the Avengers die and turn into zombies, which is cool to see, and I did enjoy that episode. But again, the idea of killing off the Avengers is basically the main consequence from all of these what-ifs. Most of these what-ifs. And yeah, I just wish they played around with it just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. So when it comes to that specific episode, episode 6, I gotta give it a rating. 3 Skarsgårds out of 5. I mean, I don't know if it's the lowest one I've rated. Probably is. I don't know. But I just felt like I enjoyed what they were doing with Killmonger, because I thought Killmonger was a great character. But then when it came time for him to start killing off some of the Avengers again, I'm like, okay, this is getting repetitive, you know? And I was hoping to see a little ragtag group of characters come together, you know, like, where are our heroes in this story? And then they showed us Shuri and Pepper, and I'm like, fuck yeah, let's get into it. And then it ends, and so I'm like, alright, 3 stars. So now on to my review for episode 7, What If Thor Was an Only Child? Now, going into this one, like I just mentioned, I don't want to see any of the other Avengers die, and it's not because I can't handle my favorite characters dying. It's just getting really repetitive, like me saying that. It's getting repetitive. What I really liked about this episode is that it took a very funny and lighthearted approach to its tone. I mean, the whole episode really feels like a comedy, and I really love how they have fun with different character relationships just based off of Loki and Thor's relationship. Like, Loki and Thor are not brothers in this universe, which is interesting. We see Loki as a full-on frost giant prince, and then we see Thor as the Prince of Asgard that he is. So it was really cool to see these two characters kind of like flourish in their own respective roles, and it was really funny to hear them say that they are best friends and they're brothers from another mother. And I just find that so hilarious, because it's a nice it's an obvious nice contrast to how they actually are in real life. If they're actual brothers, then they're gonna hate each other. But if they're best friends, wishing that they were brothers, they're gonna have the greatest of relationships. So yes, this whole episode just feels fun. You know, it's just very colorful. It's very vibrant. You know, nothing's really dark here. Nothing feels scary. Nothing feels like, oh, there's like impending doom until the very end. Oh, dude, the ending for this was spot on. Like, I really loved. Spoilers. I'm pretty sure you've all seen it if you're Marvel fans, but spoilers. I love seeing Ultron come through the portal with his army, and then Vision was morphed with him, and he was behind the helmet, the mask, and they had all the stones on him. Dude, you know, that kind of, it was probably, that moment was probably in the comics, maybe. I'm unsure if Ultron had the Infinity Stones on him, if he probably did. But what that reminded me of, and don't come at me, but what that reminded me of a little bit was Ultra Sigma from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Not the greatest fighting game, but the fact that Ultron is going after and harnesses all the Infinity Stones is something similar to what that hybrid villain of Marvel and Capcom was trying to do. So that just gave me like heavy vibes of that there. And that honestly kind of left my jaw dropped. Because I honestly do not like how they treated Ultron in Age of Ultron. He's just Pinocchio, and I hated how they played his song, and he kept like referencing that, and he's like, there's strings on here, and all of you are being held by strings and puppets, and hey, look, I'm a puppet, now I'm a real man, and you humans are the puppets. And I was just like, okay, alright, that's enough. I don't need to, you know, it's like, I don't like how they really like hammered in like, hey, we are owned by Disney. Like, we know you're owned by Disney. You don't need to like make little crossovers like that. It's just, it does not fit Ultron. I love Ultron from the comics. He's like a ruthless bastard, dude. Like, he is like, he's not even a person. He's an AI. He's an evil AI. And that right there is just like, should have no remorse whatsoever. Like, no remorse. And Ultron in the comics comes off like that. This person has no remorse. It's insane. And I did not really get that with Age of Ultron. So, I mean, that I'm probably like in the 1% there, but that's my opinion. But seeing the end of this episode and seeing that they're building up Ultron, a really superior version of Ultron that even took over Vision, it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be really exciting to see Agent Carter, Star-Lord, T'Challa, Party Thor. I don't even know who else could be around. To maybe the Spider-Man with the Doctor Strange cloak in the Zombies episode. To see them all come together and team up to fight this Ultron. Yeah, I wonder how that's gonna play out, and I'm super excited for the upcoming episodes. Like, there was a little low moment in this series for me that was just like, okay, now they're getting too repetitive with their things, and it just feels overdone. But to see this episode end in such a way was really, it got me really, really excited. And especially hearing Jeffrey Wright's The Watcher, he was trying to like wrap up the story and kind of like give it a nice ending, and it kind of leads you on and thinking like this is the first peaceful timeline that we see. And then to his surprise, The Watcher's surprise, I love that facial expression. He's like, what the, you know, he's like, what the, you know, and then when he pans over, you see Ultron come through the portal with his army, and I was like, oh shit, that was really, really cool, spot on build up, badass reveal. Yeah, I really loved this episode a little bit more than the Killmonger one, the previous one, because I loved how it just took its time to be goofy. I love how it's goofy, and then I love how it was badass in moments. I love seeing Captain Marvel and Thor go at each other, arguably two of the most powerful Avengers outside of Scarlet Witch and Hulk. Two of the most powerful Avengers, intergalactic Avengers, go at each other, and that was really fun to see as well. So with this episode, episode 7, I have to give it a rating of 4 Skarsgårds. A solid 4 Skarsgårds out of 5. It was fun. It was funny. And then when the end hit, it really hit and made me excited for the future episodes. And if any episode can make me excited for future episodes after feeling a bit down about the season, that's a great episode in my book. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for reaching to the end of this video. Have you seen the recent episodes of What If? Are you still keeping up with it? Are you excited? Are you not? Let me know what you think of it down below. And as always, please like, share, subscribe to support this little side hobby I am doing. And of course, a friendly reminder, The Rendered Image, a show I co-host with my good friends Tyler and Shannon, link to which will be down below in the description. I hope you're all safe and well out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.